Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today. We're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, so small, yet so powerful it could change your life forever. Now, what if I told you that a single coin, minted in 1946, unassuming, ordinary to the untrained, could fetch over $600,000 in today's market? Yes, you heard that right, $633,000. And it's not just any coin, it's the elusive 1946 no-mint Mark Wheat penny, a coin that collectors hunt relentlessly, one that whispers secrets of the post-war era and American ambition. Picture it, a coin made of humble copper, yet possessing a value more dazzling than gold in some corners of the rare coin world. Now, before you dismiss this as another collector's fantasy, ask yourself, how many opportunities to own a piece of American history like this truly come knocking twice? Here's a question for you. Have you ever stumbled upon something in your attic or old jewelry box, thinking it's worthless, only to discover it's a hidden fortune? Well, for those who understand rare coins, the 1946 no-mint Mark Wheat penny is exactly that kind of treasure. And yes, the market is hungry. Collectors across the country are scouring every estate sale, every dusty jar of pennies, looking for this gem. And the truth is, very few survive in pristine condition. The scarcity alone makes this coin a crown jewel in the numismatic world. Let's take a step back. The year 1946 marked a turning point in America, a country emerging victorious from World War II, yet grappling with new challenges at home. The mint, overwhelmed by demand and recovering from wartime shortages, produced pennies in vast numbers. But amidst the mass production, a few escaped without a mint mark, unintentional rarities that collectors now fight over like treasure hunters on a secret map. That small omission, a tiny, almost invisible gap where the mint mark should be, transforms this humble penny into a coin of extraordinary value. Here's where it gets exciting. The 1946 no-mint Mark Wheat penny is more than just a collectible. It's an emblem of fortune and timing. Think about it, 1 minute, you're holding what seems like a mundane coin, the next, experts are appraising it at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, you might be thinking, that's a lot of money for a penny. But in the rare coin world, this is the currency of kings and collectors, a market where scarcity dictates power, and history dictates price. Imagine telling your grandchildren that you held a coin worth $633,000, all because you recognized its significance before the rest of the world caught on. Now, let's take a moment to reset your mind. Picture a squirrel hoarding nuts in winter, funny, right? But here's the point, just like that squirrel, collectors are storing these coins, knowing that one day, demand will explode. And when it does, the 1946 no-mint Mark Wheat penny becomes a golden ticket. Scarcity, history, and market demand collide to make this coin one of the most sought-after treasures in America today. So, what does this mean for you? If you own a 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark, or even suspect that you might, this isn't a time to hesitate. This is a moment that demands attention, a rare opportunity to step into a world where ordinary objects become extraordinary fortunes. And the market is hungry, as collectors and investors compete fiercely, sometimes paying more than $500,000 for a single coin. The emotional thrill alone, the excitement of discovery, the fear of missing out, is enough to make your heart race. Imagine the difference between keeping it in a jar under your bed or unlocking its true value. This coin doesn't just hold monetary worth, it holds prestige, power, and history. Owning one signals entry into an exclusive circle of collectors who understand that sometimes, fortune comes in the smallest packages. And remember, these coins aren't getting any more common. Each day, the supply dwindles, and the urgency grows. Waiting too long could mean losing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, here's the truth, the 1946 no-mint Mark Wheat penny isn't just a coin. It's a story, a legacy, a treasure that could transform wealth and lifestyle for anyone who recognizes its value. Whether you're a seasoned collector, a cautious investor, or someone who stumbled upon this treasure by chance, the time to act is now. Hold it, marvel at it, and then, if the stars align, realize its full potential. This is more than history, it's your gateway to a rare, luxurious, and exciting chapter of American wealth. Imagine this. Somewhere in America, right now, a single brown penny is sitting quietly in a jar, a drawer, maybe even between couch cushions, and its owner has no idea it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. What if that penny is already in your house? What if the coin you've ignored for decades is the very thing that could rewrite your financial story? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at a penny the same way again. The year is 1941. America is standing on the edge of history. The wheat penny is still in daily circulation, passed from hand to hand without a second thought. No mint mark. No flash. No fanfare. Just another cent, or so everyone believed. But history has a funny way of hiding wealth in plain sight. And this particular 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny has become one of the most whispered about coins in the collecting world. The kind of coin that makes seasoned collectors lean in closer and casual owners suddenly sit up straight. Here's the exciting part. No-mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, and under the right conditions, with the right errors, this humble coin transforms into a once-in-a-lifetime asset. We're talking about rare striking anomalies, dramatic die errors, and microscopic details that separate pocket change from a coin commanding attention at elite auctions. And yes, headline prices have reached as high as $643,000. Let that sink in. 6 figures. From a penny. If that doesn't make your heart beat faster, check your pulse, or check your change jar, and let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not tossed it. Not ignored it. Really looked at it. Because fear has a way of creeping in right about now. The fear that you might have spent one of these coins on a cup of coffee. The fear that wealth slipped through your fingers simply because no one ever told you what to look for. Now here's where the story gets serious. And a little fun. Because imagine explaining to your family that you once had a penny worth more than a luxury car, and used it to tip a vending machine. Not a great dinner story, right? That's why awareness is everything. The 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny is in high demand, not because it's old, but because it represents scarcity meeting obsession. Collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history, perfection, and bragging rights. Certain era varieties from this year are aggressively hunted. Coins with bold doubling, off-metal strikes, or unusual die characteristics have ignited bidding wars that feel more like Wall Street than a coin show. And here's the urgency, these coins are not being made anymore. Every year, more disappear into private collections, vaults, and long-term investments. Supply shrinks. Demand rises. Prices respond. That's not hype, that's economics. This is where excitement kicks in. Because unlike stocks or real estate, you don't need millions to get started. You just need knowledge and timing. The market is watching these coins closely. Wealthy collectors, hedge-style investors, and legacy buyers want tangible assets they can hold, display, and pass down. And a top-tier 1941 wheat penny error checks every box. Let's reset your attention for a second with a simple question. If someone offered you $643,000 for something in your house today, would you want to know about it? Of course you would. And that's why this matters now. Because the difference between curiosity and action is where fortunes are made. This is where everything connects. This penny isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about realizing that wealth doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides. And sometimes it's been sitting next to you for years, waiting for the right moment, and the right knowledge, to reveal itself. People who sell rare coins at the highest levels aren't lucky. They're informed. They understand grading, demand cycles, and presentation. They know when to hold and when to sell. And most importantly, they respect the asset. If you own a 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny with the right characteristics, you're not holding spare change, you're holding leverage. Imagine what that kind of sale could do. Clearing debt. funding retirement, creating freedom, traveling on your terms, living a wealthy lifestyle not built on stress, but on smart decisions. That's the emotional power behind this coin. And that's why fear, excitement, and urgency all collide right here. Fear of missing out. Excitement of discovery. Urgency to act before the market moves again. So here's the truth. The next record-breaking coin sale won't come with a warning. It will come from someone who decided to look closer when everyone else looked away. Don't dismiss what you have. Don't underestimate the power of a single cent. Because history has already proven this, the smallest coins can create the biggest transformations. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in America, right now, a single penny is sitting quietly in a jar, a drawer, or an old coffee can in the garage. It looks ordinary. It feels light. It might even be dirty. And yet, if it's the right penny, it could be worth more than $643,000. Not a stock tip. Not a lottery ticket. One coin. 1 cent. And here's the unsettling question that should stop you in your tracks. What if you've already touched it and didn't even know it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at loose change the same way again. This story begins in the middle of World War II, a time when America was reshaping itself under pressure. Copper was desperately needed for ammunition and military equipment, so in 1943 the U.S. Mint made an unusual decision. They struck pennies in steel instead of copper. Most people know that part. What most people don't realize is what happened after the war effort shifted. In 1944, the Mint returned to copper, but not everything went according to plan. And that single mistake, hidden in plain sight, created one of the most valuable pennies in American history, the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny error. Now, here's where excitement meets danger. Because this penny looks almost identical to a normal coin you'd ignore every day. Abraham Lincoln on the front. Wheat stalks on the back. No mint mark below the date, meaning it was struck in Philadelphia. Nothing flashy. Nothing screaming, "I'm worth a fortune." And that's exactly why so many people miss it. That's why this coin is still being found decades later. And that's why the fear should creep in just a little, because every time someone casually spends one, history and wealth vanish together. Let's talk about the mistake itself, because this is where serious money enters the room. A small number of 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 instead of copper. That means a 1944 date, no mint mark, but made of steel. It sticks to a magnet. It feels lighter. It rings differently when dropped. And when authenticated, it becomes a six-figure treasure that elite collectors fight over. This is not hype. This is documented market demand. High-end auction houses have seen these coins sell for amounts that redefine what a penny means, and here's a quick moment of humor to reset your attention. Think about this: if someone offered you $643,000 in exchange for 1 cent, you'd probably laugh and assume it was a scam. Yet the numismatic world has already proven it's real. The joke isn't on the buyer. It's on anyone who didn't bother to check their change. This brings us to Act 2, where opportunity collides with urgency. Because this is not just a story about the past, it's about right now. Collectors today are more aggressive, better funded, and more emotionally driven than ever before. Why? Because tangible assets are king. Rare coins don't disappear in a market crash. They don't rely on digital promises. They sit quietly, gaining power through scarcity and demand. And the 1944 no-mint mark error wheat penny sits near the top of that demand pyramid. If you're between 30 and 65, this is where your advantage comes in. You grew up when coins still mattered. You remember piggy banks, pocket change, and inherited collections. That puts you closer to these hidden assets than younger generations scrolling past opportunity on a screen. The urgency is real, because every year more of these pennies are found, authenticated, and locked away in private collections. Once that happens, supply tightens. Prices don't drift down, they climb. And the window quietly narrows. Ask yourself this uncomfortable question: how many jars, drawers, or inherited boxes have you never checked carefully? How many pennies have passed through your hands without a second glance? This isn't about luck. It's about awareness. The people who win in this market aren't gamblers. They're observers. They're the ones who pause when everyone else rushes, and yes, this is where excitement spikes, because discovery stories are still happening. Ordinary people, retirees, families cleaning out estates, finding extraordinary coins because they knew what to look for. The emotional surge of realizing a single cent could alter your financial landscape is something collectors describe as unforgettable. It's not just money. It's validation. It's the feeling of outsmarting time. Now we enter Act 3, where legacy and lifestyle come into focus. Owning or selling a coin like the 1944 no-mint Mark Wheat penny era isn't just a transaction, it's a transformation. It represents access to a different level of financial conversation. High-end buyers. Serious auction houses. Discreet deals that don't involve hype, but authority. This is the world where pennies stop being small and start becoming strategic, and let's be honest for a moment. Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from recognizing value where others see nothing. This penny is a perfect symbol of that principle. Silent. Overlooked. Powerful. It rewards patience, knowledge, and decisiveness. And right now, demand remains high because collectors know something most people don't: once these coins are gone, they're gone for good. So here's your final pattern interrupt. If a stranger handed you a penny today and said, "This could change your life," would you laugh, or would you check it? That single choice separates curiosity from opportunity. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in America, right now, a single copper coin is sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, or a forgotten box. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't shout for attention. Yet it carries the potential to change a life. What if I told you that one ordinary-looking 1951 wheat penny, no mint mark, has been connected to market valuations as high as $647,000? And here's the unsettling question that should stop you cold: what if you already owned it, and never knew? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear may permanently change the way you look at every penny you've ever ignored. Most people believe wealth arrives loudly. But real wealth often whispers. The 1951 Lincoln wheat penny is one of those whispers, soft, overlooked, and dangerously underestimated. Produced during a time when America was rebuilding its power and prosperity, this penny was never meant to be special. And yet, history had other plans. Because hidden within this seemingly common coin are rare minting errors and extraordinary conditions that have transformed a 1-cent piece into a 6-figure artifact. And no, this isn't a fantasy or a lottery dream. This is documented numismatic reality. The kind that rewards those who pay attention, and punishes those who dismiss the small things. Now let's pause for a second. Be honest with yourself. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not tossed it into a cup. Not handed it to a cashier. But really looked at it. If your answer is, "I can't remember," you're not alone. And that's exactly why coins like the 1951 no-mint Mark Wheat penny continue to surface years later, shocking families, estates, and collectors alike. The fear isn't that these coins don't exist. The fear is that people unknowingly give them away every single day. Here's where the story becomes powerful. The 1951 wheat penny with no mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, at a time when quality control wasn't perfect and errors slipped through unnoticed. Some of these coins were struck with off-center designs, doubled dies, planchet flaws, or subtle misalignments that the untrained eye would never catch. But to elite collectors, these imperfections are perfection. They are proof of rarity. Proof of scarcity. Proof that this coin does not belong in circulation, it belongs in a vault, an auction house, or a private collection where demand far outweighs supply. And let's talk about demand, because this is where excitement replaces doubt. High-end collectors aren't browsing casually. They are hunting aggressively. They compete quietly. They pay decisively. When a verified, high-grade 1951 no-mint Mark wheat penny with a confirmed error appears on the market, it doesn't wait. It moves. Fast. Prices don't rise slowly in this tier, they jump. Because wealthy collectors understand something most people don't, they can always make more money, but they can never make more rare coins. Now here's a quick reality check, don't blink. Not every 1951 penny is valuable. And that's actually good news. Why? Because it means when you find the right one, the market doesn't question it. It rewards it. Exceptional condition. Verified mint error. Strong strike detail. Original surfaces. When these elements align, the coin transcends its face value and enters an entirely different financial universe. This is where a single cent becomes a legacy asset. This is where patience beats luck. And yes, this is where six-figure valuations begin to make sense. Let me ask you something slightly uncomfortable. If you discovered today that you once spent a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, how would that feel? A little funny? A little painful? That nervous laugh people make when opportunity slips by unnoticed? Exactly. Humor aside, that moment of realization is what separates casual curiosity from decisive action. Because after today, you no longer have the excuse of ignorance. You are informed. And information, when acted upon, is power. This brings us to the heart of the story, the mindset shift. The people who build wealth through rare coins aren't gamblers. They are observers. They understand that scarcity creates value, and time amplifies it. A 1951 wheat penny doesn't advertise itself. It waits. It waits for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize it and confident enough to act. And in a world driven by speed and noise, this quiet form of wealth creation feels almost rebellious. Almost unfair. And yet, it works, again and again. As we move toward the final act, urgency enters the room. These coins are not becoming more common. They are becoming harder to find, harder to authenticate, and more aggressively pursued. Every year that passes removes more examples from circulation and locks them into private holdings. That means fewer opportunities, higher competition, and rising values. Waiting doesn't protect you here. Waiting costs you. Because the market rewards the prepared, not the hesitant. So here's the final truth, and it deserves your full attention. Somewhere in America, someone is about to discover a 1951 no-mint Mark wheat penny and realize they're holding far more than copper. They're holding leverage. Possibility. Freedom. The only question left is whether that person is you. Check your coins. Check your collections. Check the places you've never thought to look. Because wealth doesn't always arrive as a paycheck. Imagine this for a moment. You're standing in your kitchen, the light hits a small copper coin in your hand, and suddenly the most ordinary object you've ignored for decades begins to feel dangerous. Dangerous to your old assumptions about money. Dangerous to the belief that life-changing wealth only belongs to someone else. Because what if I told you that a single USA 1952 no-mint Mark wheat penny, a coin millions of Americans once spent without a second thought, has stunned the collector world with values reaching as high as $648,000 for the right error specimen? And before you laugh and say, "Come on, it's just a penny," ask yourself this uncomfortable question: what if the most valuable thing you own right now is hiding in plain sight? This story begins in post-war America, 1952. Gas was cheap, televisions were entering homes, and the U.S. Mint was striking wheat pennies by the hundreds of millions. Most of them were perfectly ordinary, destined for pockets, jars, and couch cushions. But history has a strange habit of rewarding mistakes. In rare cases, something went wrong at the mint. A misalignment, a die anomaly, an off-metal strike, or a dramatic error so subtle that only time and scarcity could turn it into legend. And that is where fear quietly enters the room. Fear that you may have already spent one of these coins. Fear that you might still have one and not even know it. Fear that opportunity doesn't knock twice, it whispers once and disappears. Now let me ask you something, and be honest. How many pennies have you thrown away, ignored, or laughed at over the years? If pennies could talk, some of them would be screaming, "Don't underestimate me." The 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny was struck in Philadelphia, where coins carried no mint mark at all. On the surface, it looks humble, even boring. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile. Wheat stalks on the reverse. Nothing flashy. And that's exactly why these coins slipped through our fingers unnoticed. But collectors don't see boring. They see potential, rarity, and history frozen in copper. Here's where excitement takes over. Certain 1952 wheat pennies with dramatic mint errors have become highly sought after in today's market. We're talking about coins with major die cracks, off-center strikes, double design elements, or wrong planchet errors that were never meant to leave the mint. When one of these exceptional pieces surfaces in high grade, collectors don't politely negotiate. They compete. They bid. They chase. Because in a market driven by scarcity and emotion, the right coin doesn't just sell, it ignites desire. That's how eye-watering numbers like $600,000 and beyond enter the conversation, and yes, I can already hear someone saying, "Sure, but that's only for perfect coins." Here's the humorous reality check. Perfection is overrated. In the coin world, mistakes are the celebrities. Imagine showing up late to work your entire life, and one day you get promoted because of it. That's basically a mint error penny. Flaws are not weaknesses here. They're the very reason collectors open their wallets wide. Isn't it ironic that the things we're taught to hide in life become the very things that make a coin priceless? Act 2 of this story is where urgency starts to breathe down your neck. The demand for rare US error coins has exploded. Wealthy collectors, investors, and auction houses are aggressively hunting for pieces with strong stories and undeniable scarcity. Supply is not increasing. The US Mint isn't going back to 1952 to make more wheat pennies. Every year, more of these coins are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from circulation. That means the window of opportunity is narrowing. If you own one of these coins, time is not your enemy, but ignorance might be. Think about this. In a world of volatile markets and digital uncertainty, tangible assets with historical significance are becoming emotional safe havens for wealth. A rare penny is not just copper. It's a portable store of value, a conversation piece, and in some cases, a ticket to financial freedom. The people who profit most are not always the ones with the most coins. They're the ones who recognize what they're holding before the rest of the world catches on. Now let's reset your attention with a simple, slightly uncomfortable question. If a stranger offered you $10 for your old penny jar right now, would you take it without checking? If your answer is yes, you might want to pause this video, take a breath, and reconsider your life choices. Because buried in that jar could be a coin that collectors would fly across the country to see in person. That's not exaggeration. That's the reality of today's high-end numismatic market. As we move into the final act, the story connects back to you. This is not just about a coin. This is about mindset. Wealthy lifestyles are often built on recognizing value where others see nothing. The 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny represents a powerful lesson: small things can change everything. For some people, this coin paid off debt. For others, it funded retirement dreams or reinvested into generational wealth. And for a lucky few, it transformed a forgotten piece of pocket change into a headline-making sale that stunned the auction floor. The fear of missing out is real, and it should be. But let's flip that fear into empowerment. You don't need to be a professional dealer to start. You need curiosity, awareness, and the willingness to look twice at what you already own. Examine your pennies. Learn the signs of major errors. Seek professional grading when something feels different. Because the market rewards action, not hesitation. So the next time someone jokes that a penny isn't worth much, smile quietly. Because you now know the truth. Somewhere in America, a 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny changed someone's life. And there is nothing stopping the next one from being yours. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in America, right now, a small copper coin sits quietly in a drawer, a jar, maybe even in your own home. It doesn't shine. It doesn't scream for attention. And yet, collectors would fight for it. Why? Because that humble coin could be a 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny with a rare error, a coin that has stunned the market with values reported as high as $637,000. Let me ask you a slightly uncomfortable question to start. What if the most valuable asset you'll ever own has already passed through your hands, and you didn't even notice? That thought alone should make you sit up, because history has a habit of rewarding the people who pay attention. This story begins in post-war America, a time of rebuilding, ambition, and quiet opportunity. In 1952, the Denver Mint struck millions of wheat pennies. Most were ordinary, meant for circulation, coffee, newspapers, and parking meters. But hidden within that massive production were a handful of coins that were anything but ordinary. Minting errors occurred when dies were misaligned, pressures were inconsistent, or metal flow behaved unpredictably. At the time, no one cared. These pennies were spent without a second thought. And that's the twist that makes collectors smile today. The greatest treasures are often born from mistakes, and the 1952 D. wheat penny error is a perfect example of how imperfection can become power. Now here's where excitement kicks in. Certain 1952 D. wheat pennies have surfaced with dramatic errors that make professional collectors stop breathing for a second. Off-center strikes, dramatic die breaks, strong doubling, and rare transitional characteristics have all been documented. When these errors are bold, undeniable, and preserved in high grade, the market responds with intensity. Auction rooms go quiet. Bidding paddles rise. And suddenly, a coin that once bought a piece of candy becomes a six-figure headline. This is not fantasy. This is how the rare coin market works when supply is microscopic and demand is global. But let's inject a moment of humor here, because it matters. Think about it. Somewhere in the 1950s, someone probably said, "It's just a penny," and tossed it into change for a soda. If that doesn't make you laugh a little, and wince a little, you're not paying attention. Because today, that same penny could rewrite someone's financial story. And that's exactly why this conversation matters to you right now, not someday, not later. As we move deeper into this story, fear begins to play its role. Fear is not always negative. Sometimes fear is a signal. The fear here is simple and powerful. What if you already own one of these coins and don't know it? What if it's sitting in a box, inherited from a parent or grandparent, slowly losing clarity as time passes? Every year, coins are damaged, cleaned improperly, or lost forever. The market does not wait. High-end collectors and investors are aggressively hunting wheat penny errors because they know one truth: no more are being made. Once they're gone, they're gone. The 1952 D. wheat penny occupies a unique psychological space in the market. It's old, but not ancient. It's familiar, but underestimated. And that combination fuels demand. Serious buyers love coins that bridge generations, coins that tell a story Americans recognize instantly. Lincoln's profile. The wheat ears. The Denver Mint mark that quietly signals a specific origin. Add a major error into that mix, and you have the perfect storm. This is why whispers of prices approaching $637,000 don't sound crazy to seasoned professionals. They sound inevitable when the right specimen appears. Here's a question to reset your attention for a second. If someone offered you a lottery ticket with much better odds than the lottery, would you at least check the numbers? Because that's exactly what looking through old pennies is. It's not gambling. It's awareness. It's knowledge. And knowledge, especially in the collectibles market, is leverage. The people who win are not always the richest. They are the most prepared. As the story enters its final act, urgency becomes impossible to ignore. The rare coin market is changing fast. Wealthy buyers are moving away from volatile assets and into tangible history. Coins are portable wealth. They are private wealth. And they carry cultural value that paper assets never will. Demand for top-tier era coins has surged, while available inventory has tightened dramatically. When a verified, high-grade 1952 D wheat penny era appears, it doesn't wait around. It is absorbed by the market, often into private collections where it may not resurface for decades, and this is where everything connects. The excitement of discovery. The fear of missing out. The urgency of a shrinking supply. All of it points to one clear message: paying attention today can change your tomorrow. You don't need millions to enter this world. You need curiosity, patience, and the courage to take a second look at what you already have. History rewards those who respect it. So before you dismiss this as just another coin story, pause. Ask yourself one final question. What if your path to a wealthier lifestyle doesn't begin with chasing something new, but with recognizing the value of something old? Because the 1952 D Lincoln wheat penny isn't just copper and wheat. Imagine holding a small piece of history in the palm of your hand, so small that most people overlook it every single day. Yet, this unassuming coin could transform your life forever. I'm talking about the legendary 1954 D Mint Mark wheat penny with a rare coin error, a piece so scarce, so highly sought after, that collectors today are willing to pay over $637,000 for the right specimen. Yes, you heard that right, over $500,000 for a single penny. You might be thinking, how could a penny, something I toss into a fountain for luck, possibly be worth that much? That's exactly why most people will never see the opportunity staring them in the face. And the truth is, one of these could be sitting quietly in your attic, forgotten in a dusty jar of coins, waiting for the exact moment to make you wealthy beyond imagination. Now, before your mind starts racing with what ifs, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some coins skyrocket in value while others barely make a ripple? What if I told you it's not about luck, but about history, rarity, and timing? Stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal could change the way you see your old coin collection forever. And yes, it's going to get exciting. Let's go back to 1954. America was booming, rock and roll was emerging, diners were packed, and families were living the American dream. And in the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint quietly produced millions of pennies. Most of these coins went unnoticed, spent in cash registers or tucked into jars at home. But in the Denver Mint, something extraordinary happened. A minting error created the 1954 D Mint Mark wheat penny, a coin that today is considered a crown jewel among collectors. This isn't just any penny, it's a symbol of precision gone wrong, a beautiful imperfection that the market craves like treasure hunters crave gold. Now, imagine for a moment, you're at a garage sale, casually flipping through a box of coins. You see a penny that looks just like every other penny, but something tells you to take a closer look. That something is exactly how legends are made. Collectors and investors alike have been chasing these pennies for decades, often paying unimaginable sums to secure them. And why? Because in the world of rare coins, scarcity equals desire, and desire equals value. This 1954 D-era penny isn't just a coin, it's a story, a moment frozen in history, and a ticket to a lifestyle most people only dream about. And yes, here's where most people make a mistake, ignoring their instincts. Maybe you've laughed at coins as a hobby for grandparents. But what if I told you that today, a single mistake at the mint could turn a coin that cost a penny into a life-changing windfall? That's not exaggeration, that's real, and it's happening right now in the high-stakes world of coin collecting. Quick question: have you ever dropped a penny on the floor and stepped over it? Congratulations, you just walked past $637,000 in potential wealth. Okay, maybe not that dramatic, but it gets you thinking, how often do opportunities hide in plain sight? This is exactly the thrill collectors feel when they find a 1954 D-era penny. They're holding something most people dismiss, and in that moment, they are sitting on a fortune. Here's the reality: the 1954 D Mint Mark wheat penny is in high demand, and the market is hotter than ever. Serious collectors are scouring estates, auctions, and private sales, offering staggering sums for coins in pristine condition. The window to act is narrow because the more people realize the value, the faster these coins disappear from the market. Imagine watching someone else scoop up a penny that could have been yours for a fraction of today's market price. Regret is a powerful motivator, but so is action. Owning this coin isn't just about money, it's about being part of history, securing a legacy, and claiming an asset that transcends time. When you hold it, you're not just holding copper, you're holding decades of American heritage, a piece of a story that collectors will chase for generations. And here's the best part, in the rare coin world, timing and knowledge make all the difference. The sooner you recognize the value of a piece like this, the sooner you step into the lifestyle most people only dream about: wealth, sophistication, and the thrill of holding history in your hands. So, ask yourself, do you want to be the one who walks past the opportunity, or the one who claims it and transforms your life? The 1954 D Mint Mark Wheat penny isn't just a coin. It's a door, a moment, a chance. And in the world of rare coins, chances like this don't wait. Imagine this for a moment: a single penny. Copper. Small. Ordinary. The kind you might have ignored, tossed into a jar, or left behind at a gas station counter. Now imagine that same penny silently carrying a price tag whispered in elite collector circles: over $600,000. Not a stock. Not real estate. A penny. And tonight, we're talking about one of the most legendary coins ever struck in the United States, the 1955 no-mint Mark Wheat penny era, a coin that has turned pocket change into generational wealth. Before you dismiss this as hype, ask yourself one dangerous question: what if you already owned one and didn't even know it? This story begins in 1955, inside the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark. High-speed presses. Long hours. Human error meeting mechanical force. And then it happened. A misalignment so dramatic, so visually shocking, that it created what many experts call the most famous double die error in American coin history. Lincoln's date. His motto. His very name, boldly doubled, unmistakable, almost screaming from the coin's surface. This wasn't a subtle flaw. This was a minting mistake you could spot without a magnifying glass. And that's exactly why this penny became a legend. Here's where the excitement kicks in. When these coins first appeared, they weren't locked away in vaults. They entered circulation. Teenagers found them in cigarette packs. Cashiers handed them out as change. Ordinary Americans spent them like nothing. Think about that for a second. Some were lost forever. Some were damaged. But a small number survived. And today, those survivors are hunted aggressively by elite collectors, auction houses, and private investors who understand one thing very clearly: true rarity never goes out of demand. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where attention sharpens. While average examples can already be worth life-changing money, top-tier, pristine specimens, the kind that make professional graders pause, have been linked to reported private sales and headline valuations reaching as high as $643,000. That's not hype driving this. That's scarcity colliding with obsession. The finest examples don't just sell, they spark bidding wars. And here's the part most people don't realize: collectors aren't slowing down. Demand is increasing as supply permanently shrinks. Let me ask you something, and be honest: when was the last time you actually looked closely at an old penny? Not glanced. Looked. Because fear quietly creeps in here. The fear that you might have already spent something priceless. Or worse, that it's sitting in a drawer right now, slowly oxidizing, while others are cashing in. This isn't about luck anymore. It's about awareness. Coins like the 1955 wheat penny don't announce themselves with alarms. They wait patiently for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize greatness. And yes, let's reset the mood for a second, because this part always gets a laugh. Imagine explaining to your friends that your wealth didn't come from crypto, or stocks, or real estate, but from a penny your grandfather almost used to buy bubble gum. Funny? Absolutely. Powerful? Even more so. That humor masks a serious truth: the smartest money often hides in the most overlooked places. What makes this penny so irresistible isn't just the error. It's the story. A moment frozen in copper. A mistake the US Mint can never recreate. No modern reproduction, no second chance, no rerun. Once these coins are locked into collections, they're gone from the market, sometimes forever. That creates urgency. Because every year, fewer are available, and more buyers enter the space. Wealthy collectors aren't asking if they should buy, they're asking how soon. This is why the 1955 no-mint Mark Wheat penny sits in a class of its own. It's not just a coin. It's a financial conversation piece. A portable asset. A symbol of foresight. And for those who own one, it represents leverage, the ability to turn history into opportunity at exactly the right moment. Timing matters. Condition matters. Knowledge matters. And right now, the market is listening very closely. So here's the final thought, and it's one worth sitting with. While others chase trends that rise and collapse overnight, this penny has done the opposite. It has matured, strengthened, and commanded respect for decades. It rewards patience. It rewards vision. And it rewards those who understand that wealth doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers from the bottom of a coin jar. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in America, right now, a small brown coin is sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, maybe even an old coffee can in a garage. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. And yet, it carries the power to change a life. What if I told you that a single 1955 wheat penny, yes, 1 cent, has been connected to elite error examples commanding prices as high as $642,000? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just about a coin. It's about awareness, timing, and the quiet opportunities most people overlook. Act 1 begins with a simple truth that creates both fear and excitement. Most people spend rare coins without ever knowing what they had. They clean them, they toss them, they hand them over for face value. And once that moment passes, it's gone forever. The 1955 wheat penny was struck during a period of intense demand at the Denver Mint, a time when speed sometimes mattered more than perfection. That pressure is exactly where legends are born. Certain error varieties from this era show dramatic misalignments, striking anomalies, and die-related mistakes that serious collectors hunt relentlessly. And here's the uncomfortable question that stops people in their tracks: how many of these have already slipped through your hands without you ever noticing? If that thought makes you uneasy, good. That feeling is awareness waking up. Now let's shift the energy, because this is where excitement takes over. The wheat penny isn't just metal. It's history you can hold. Lincoln on the front, wheat stalks on the back, a design that speaks to American resilience and growth. When a 1955 wheat penny shows a major mint error, collectors don't see a flaw, they see rarity, scarcity, and prestige. High-end examples with dramatic visual impact have stunned the market, with reported sales reaching into the hundreds of thousands when condition, authenticity, and error significance align perfectly. And yes, some elite specimens have been linked to valuations approaching $642,000. That's not spare change money. That's lifestyle-changing money. That's the kind of number that makes people sit up straighter and suddenly remember that old jar on the shelf. Here's a quick pattern interrupt, just to reset your attention. Be honest with yourself for a second. If someone offered you a penny and said, "This might be worth more than your car," would you laugh, or would you look twice? Exactly. That moment of curiosity is where opportunity lives. Serious collectors and investors never laugh at pennies. They study them. As Act 2 unfolds, urgency quietly enters the room. The demand for rare US error coins is not slowing down. It's accelerating. Wealthy collectors, registry-set competitors, and private investors are aggressively searching for authenticated, high-grade error pennies because supply is permanently limited. No more 1955 wheat pennies will ever be made. Every year, more are lost, damaged, or cleaned beyond recognition. That means the pool is shrinking while demand keeps rising. This is not speculation, this is basic scarcity economics. And the people who benefit most are the ones who recognize what they have before everyone else does. Think about this: millions of Americans inherited coins without ever having them professionally evaluated. Some of those collections are still untouched. Some are sitting in estates. Some are hiding in plain sight. If you are between 30 and 65 years old, you are in a powerful position. You have access to family history, purchasing power, and the ability to act decisively. This is not about chasing luck. This is about paying attention. A genuine 1955 wheat penny with a major error, properly authenticated and preserved, is not something collectors negotiate casually. When one surfaces, competition follows. Quietly, aggressively, and with serious money. Let me ask you another question, and don't answer it out loud, just feel it. What would it mean to discover that something you already own carries the potential to fund freedom, security, or a more abundant lifestyle? That emotional spark is not greed. It's responsibility. Because ignoring value doesn't make you humble, it makes you uninformed. As we move into Act 3, the story tightens and everything connects. The people who succeed in rare coins share one trait: they act before certainty feels comfortable. They don't wait for permission. They don't assume something is worthless because it's small. They respect expertise, they seek verification, and they protect condition like it matters, because it does. The difference between an average penny and a six-figure penny is often one overlooked detail and one smart decision made at the right time, and here's the positive truth I want you to walk away with. Opportunity doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers from the bottom of a drawer. The 1955 wheat penny has earned its place among the most talked about era coins in American numismatics, and elite examples are in high demand right now. Not next year. Not someday. Right now. The market rewards those who understand rarity, who respect history, and who move with intention. So before you dismiss that old penny, before you assume you've already seen everything worth seeing, pause. Look again. Because wealth doesn't always announce itself with gold and glitter. Imagine this for a moment. You're holding a single penny. 1 cent. The kind most people flick into a jar, drop on a sidewalk, or leave behind at a gas station without a second thought. Now pause. What if that penny was quietly worth $635,000? Not a lottery ticket. Not a stock tip. A penny you might already own. That single thought should stop you cold, because today we're talking about the legendary 1958 no-mint Mark wheat penny coin error, one of the most hunted, most whispered about coins in American numismatic history. And yes, this is the coin serious collectors are still willing to pay up to $635,000 for. If that sentence didn't get your attention, ask yourself this uncomfortable question: how many pennies have you already spent without ever looking at them? This story begins in Act 1, with something that feels almost unfair. The year is 1958, the final chapter of the wheat penny era, a design that had carried America through wars, booms, busts, and cultural revolutions. No mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, the heart of U.S. coin production. Millions were made. And that's exactly why people miss it. Because when something feels common, our brain labels it as worthless. But hidden among those ordinary pennies was a rare and dramatic minting error so bold, so visually striking, that collectors still speak about it with a mix of reverence and disbelief. The famous double die obverse error, where the lettering and date appear powerfully doubled, as if the coin itself is trying to get your attention. And here's the emotional trigger most people never forget once they hear it: this error was never supposed to leave the mint. It slipped through. By accident. Which means every example found today is a survivor, and survivors are priceless in the collector world. Now let's interrupt your attention for a second with a thought that's almost funny if it weren't so painful. How many times have you said, "It's just a penny"? Go ahead, smile a little. Most of us have. That phrase alone may have already cost Americans millions of dollars collectively. Because this isn't about pocket change. This is about overlooked opportunity. This is about fear too, the fear that the coin you once dismissed could have quietly paid off your house, your debts, or funded a lifestyle most people only dream about. And here's the authority behind this claim: elite collectors and auction houses don't chase myths. They chase proven demand. And the demand for the 1958 no-mint Mark Wheat penny era has only intensified as fewer verified examples remain available. As Act 1 closes, understand this clearly. This coin sits at the intersection of rarity, history, and visual impact. Final year of the wheat penny. One of the boldest error strikes ever released. Extremely limited surviving population. That is the formula for six-figure value. And the market already agrees. Act 2 is where excitement turns into urgency. Because the market doesn't wait for people to get around to it. The current market value of up to $635,000 didn't happen overnight. It's the result of decades of growing demand, shrinking supply, and a new generation of high-net-worth collectors who want tangible assets they can hold, not numbers on a screen. Coins like this are no longer just collectibles, they are status assets. Conversation pieces. Legacy investments. When one appears at auction, the room changes. Phones come out. Bidders lean forward. Because everyone knows the same truth, another opportunity like this may not appear for years. Here's where fear quietly creeps in again, and it's the fear of time. Every year, more of these coins are locked away in private collections. Estates. Vaults. Some are never sold publicly again. And every time one disappears from the open market, the remaining examples become more powerful. Ask yourself this: if demand is rising and supply is vanishing, what direction do prices move? Exactly. And that's why waiting, hesitating, or assuming someone else will find it is one of the most expensive mistakes people make in rare coin collecting. Let's reset your attention with a simple question that sounds almost playful but carries serious weight. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before spending it? Not glanced at it. Looked at it. Because this coin doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It reveals itself to those who pay attention. Strong doubling on the date. Bold, unmistakable doubling on liberty and in God we trust. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the people who know this aren't guessing, they're hunting. Right now. Quietly. Relentlessly. Act 2 also brings confidence. This isn't a speculative fad. This is a documented, authenticated error with a long track record of elite interest. Major grading services recognize it. Top auction houses promote it. Serious buyers compete for it. That's what high demand actually looks like, not hype, but consistent pressure from informed money. And informed money doesn't chase weak stories. It chases strength, scarcity, and history. The 1958 no-mint Mark Wheat penny era has all three in abundance. Now we arrive at Act 3, where everything connects. Wealth, when you strip it down, is about awareness and action. Not luck. Awareness is knowing that life-changing value sometimes hides in ordinary places. Action is taking the time to check, to verify, to protect what others overlook. This coin represents something bigger than metal and copper. It represents the idea that opportunity doesn't always look exciting at first glance. Sometimes it looks small. Sometimes it looks boring. Sometimes it looks exactly like something you've ignored your whole life. Picture the emotional shift of realizing you own something most people will never even see in person. Picture the authority of walking into a professional appraisal or auction setting knowing you're holding one of the most coveted wheat penny errors ever produced. That confidence changes how you move. How you negotiate. How you think about money. This is why collectors in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s are paying closer attention than ever. They understand legacy. They understand timing. And they understand that tangible assets with proven demand offer a different kind of security. Here's the final urgency, and it's real. Every day that passes, fewer of these coins remain undiscovered. Pennies get lost. Pennies get damaged. Pennies get spent. The window does not stay open forever. And the people who win in this space aren't louder or luckier. They're simply earlier and more intentional. If you've ever dreamed about turning overlooked items into extraordinary value, this is not a fantasy story. This is a documented market reality. So the next time you see a 1958 wheat penny with no mint mark, don't rush. Don't assume. Don't dismiss. Because history has already proven that one small decision, to look closer, can separate regret from generational wealth. And remember this, the difference between someone who says, "I almost had one of those," and someone who says,